like a dog without a bone, and knocked her out alone. Riders on the storm. There's a killer on the road. His brain is squirming like a toad. Taking on holiday. Let your children play. If you give this man a ride, sweet memory will die. Killer on the road. Hey, how you doing? Justin here today. We are checking out Riders on the Storm by The Doors. Now, I'm going to show you a few different versions here, right? Because I've just been having a bit of a fun play around with it, really. Stealing the keyboard lines and some of the keyboard voicings and added some tremolo and effects and stuff. So I'm going to show you a really nice, simple version that's quite nice for beginners to play as well. Not complete beginners, but, you know, progressing beginners, should we call them. People that have probably finished my beginner's course and are looking to push themselves but not doing bar chords yet, that kind of thing. Now, first thing I want to mention is the sound, because I want to turn that off for doing the majority of the lesson part. Now, the main thing that you're hearing here, this wobbling sound, this is called a tremolo effect. You can hear it's basically the volume going up and down, and I've got it built into my Lazy J amp, but you can hear it now. That's all gone away, and if I just click it back on again, it's a really, really nice effect tremolo. It's one of my favorite kind of styles of effect, I guess. Now you can, you're going to need to either get a pedal or have it built into your amp if you're going to use that effect, but it's not that rare, so you'll probably find it in multi-effects units, and if your amp's got one of those kind of multi-thing effects things built in it, you might find that kind of thing as a preset as well. So that's worth looking at. Now, I'm going to take you through, first of all, some kind of an easy way of playing it, because even you guys doing the more advanced version are going to need to understand harmonically what's going on. So basically the verses is all kind of really based around an E minor chord with a little subtle shift to a D. So you got this kind of E minor, 2, 3, D, back to E minor. Now you don't really need to do that, but I must admit when I played this in bands for years, I just played E minor. Riders on the storm. Riders on the storm. Okay, but if you want to do it a little bit more fancy, doing E minor, 2, 3 to D, E minor, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Riders on the storm. Riders on the storm. You could do it. I think it kind of sounds a little bit more interesting, a bit more like the original recording too. Then we've got this interesting thing, the next section, which is essentially, again, if you're a real beginner, you could just stay on A minor for this whole thing. Into this house we're born, and then it's back to E minor. Really simple would be a D and out alone, to C out alone, to E minor on the storm. Okay, that whole thing. Riders on the storm, we're just on E. This is the simplest version. Riders on the storm. Then going to an A minor. Into this house we're born. And then back to E minor, the world we're thrown. And now to D, 2, 3, 4, C, 2, 3, 4, back to E minor. Okay, you could use more or less any sort of strumming that you want, or just keep it real simple with individual strums. That would work as well. So if you're going to do the E minor to the D and back to E minor, which is kind of what I'd recommend. It's not that difficult, and it's a good chord changing exercise for beginners anyway. The next part, the chords that we can use for the A minor substitute, are a really interesting one. So if we start with a regular A minor, and then we move all of that grip up 2 frets, okay, we end up with, it's kind of a B minor something, B minor 11 over A, I guess, or a B minor over A would do as well, if you wanted to give it a name. And the next chord really is a C chord with an A bass, and what I'm doing is I'm putting my second finger in the 5th fret of the 4th string, third finger also in the 5th fret of the 3rd string, and little finger underneath in the 5th fret of the 2nd string. So it's kind of like if you did a C bar chord, using the 3 fingers, which is not normally how I'd recommend teaching it, but yeah, using those 3 fingers there is really the way. So nothing on the thicker string, open, 5, 5, 5, and then muting the thinner string. Well, you could leave it open, actually it's the same note as what the little finger's playing, so it doesn't really matter. And then we'd move that up 2 frets. Okay, so exactly the same shape. Nothing on the thicker string, then open, 7, 7, 7, and you could play the thinner string or not, because it kind of sounds pretty cool if you do, but if you didn't want to play it, it wouldn't matter either. And then it just moves up from those, so it's A minor, B minor over A, C over A, D over A. Okay, so you just literally moving that chord shape up, then to the C over A, the one all in a line. Okay, it's a really nice thing. So we'd end up with riders on the storm, riders on the storm. Now this shifting bit, A minor, B minor over A, C over A, D over A, back to E minor, to the D, E minor, then it's D. Now again, here if you want to jazz it up a little bit, there's this little movement here which is a G triad over the D bass note. Because a lot of this stuff is organ driven, you know, for keyboard players they can do a chord and change the bass note really easily, so you tend to get a lot of that kind of thing in music driven by keyboard parts. If you want to do a G with a D bass, then go 1, 2, 3, 4 when it comes to the D chord. You want to start with your second finger in the 4th fret of the 3rd string. First finger is going to do a little bar covering the 3rd fret, thinnest 2 strings, and then the open D. Not playing the thickest 2 strings, so nothing there. 0, 4, 3, 3. Okay, that's a G/D, or a G chord with a D bass note. And basically you want it to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2. That's the rhythm for it. So just 1, 2, 3, 4. And again, if you want to just change to a C chord there, that kind of works. But if you want to be just like the record, it's going 1 and 2, 3, 4, D, C. With that rhythm, 1 and 2, 3, 4, 1 and 2, 3, 4. Okay, so the altogether fancy in fact, let's just go over that last part again. The G over D to D, and then the CD, DC thing. I'm confusing myself even now. It's kind of funny. You know the bit I mean, I hope. Okay, so it's going 1, 2, 3, 4, 1 and 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, and then we're back to the E minor thing. Okay, that section again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1 and 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. Okay, from the beginning of the verse. Riders on the storm. 2, 3, 4. Riders on the storm. A minor, B minor over A, C over A to D over A, E minor, 2, 3, D, E minor. Here we go for this new section. G, D, 3, 4, D, C, 3, 4, E minor. Okay, and that's the main sequence. Now, there's lots of different variations going on here, but that would be the kind of the main thing that you want to learn. That's the main way of playing the progression. But what I'm going to show you now is some of the kind of slightly more fancy ways that you might choose to play the chord. I'm also going to show you actually the guitar part at the beginning, because it's kind of really nice. And I'll show you that little rundown as well, which is actually played on the keyboard. But if you've got a little bit of effects on, a little bit of reverb and the tremolo thing, it kind of, I think it sounds pretty cool on the guitar, and it works well. And it's a great exercise actually. Playing scales in thirds is what it's called, playing the D major scale in thirds. But anyway, let's get to a close-up and check out that stuff. I'm just thinking I'm going to give you once through a close-up of those chords just to make sure that you're hip with all of that stuff that's going on before. So it's just E minor, 2, 3, D, E minor, 2, 3, D, E minor, 2, 3, D, E minor, 2, 3, 4, A minor, move it up 2 frets, then all the fingers in a row. Okay, so note there that just the 3rd and 4th fingers have gone from here, upper fret, little finger goes down underneath. You don't need to kind of lift them from here and go, try and get them all in. Just from there, slide them up, little finger goes down. Slide it up 2 frets. And then again, E minor, D, E minor. Now we've got this, okay, G, over D to D, then D, C. You have to change that pretty quick. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1 and 2, 3, 4. There we go, and then we're back into here. Now, let's talk about some of the kind of more keyboardy kind of grips and the things that you can do to make it sound a bit more like the record. So the first thing, that's the grip, the way the keyboard player is playing the E minor, D, E minor. Okay, that's the voicing, the way the notes are played together. Okay, so the E minor here, it's actually the same as just playing those thinnest 3 strings, but you get a different texture playing them a bit further up the neck. Also, you want to use your 3rd finger there to mute the 5th string, so you get the open thicker string, the 5th string is muted, then you've got 5th fret, 4th fret, 5th fret. Okay, with the 3rd, you're not using your 1st finger, so 3rd finger, 2nd finger, little finger, and you're muting the thinnest string as well. You don't have to, because it's actually the same note as got your little finger, but I'd recommend muting it anyway. And then the D chord. Okay, so we've gone from here, 3rd finger, these have come off except the 3rd finger, it moves back 1 fret to the 4th fret, 1st finger goes down in the 2nd fret of the 3rd string, 2nd finger goes down in the 3rd fret of the 2nd string. Okay, making sure the 3rd finger is muting the 5th string still, and the underneath of one of the fingers, doesn't matter which one, is muting the thinner string. And that's just happening on beat 4, so you have this 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. Still just the same chords, just a slightly hipper way of playing it. Okay, it's a really nice, choice there. The other one, the other way that the keyboard plays it in the kind of the 2nd verse is using this. Okay, it's a similar kind of little chord movement idea with the same bass note. So we're still keeping the low E bass note. We're making sure the 5th string is muted all the time. Okay, this is like an E minor 7 chord. So this is 3rd finger in the 9th fret of the 4th string, 1st finger in the 7th fret of the 3rd string, and 2nd finger in the 8th fret of the 2nd string. Okay, thinner string is muted, 5th string is muted, so you can still strum through and just get the bass note, mute, note, 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 mute. It's important that you get that figured out. Okay, move the same shape up 2 frets. Okay, it's got like an F sharp minor 7 over E, I guess you could call it. Give it a few other names, you could call it A over E as well. Doesn't really matter. And then you've got a bar, okay, which is the 12th fret. Use your 3rd finger. You could use 3 fingers in a row if you can fit them in there, but you probably want to use a bar. Making sure the 3rd finger is muting the 5th string and the thinnest string. Okay, it might take a little bit of practice to get all of that muting done with that one finger. But the idea, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, it's a really nice little kind of chord movement there with that low E ringing out, especially when we go back to here. And the other thing that I forgot to mention before with the rhythm of that, 1 and 2, 3 and 4, 1 and 2, 3 and 4. It's a nice rhythm of it, just playing 1 and, both down picks, 1 and 2, 3 and 4, 1 and 2, 3 and 4, 1, 2, 3. Again, it just sounds a bit more like the record to do it that way. You know, you don't have to, but you can choose to explore it. Now the other part, while the keyboard player is doing this, the guitar starts, the actual guitar part on the record is really tasty. He's doing this. Which if you've got a 2 guitar thing going on and one's doing this little ascending or descending thing, or a keyboard player, and you rip into doing this, sounds really nice. Okay, so it's just 4th fret on the 3rd string, 5th fret on the 4th string. Okay, 1 and 2 and, okay, sliding up to the 6th fret. Same shape, so the 2nd finger is going down 1 fret above the 1st finger, which is the 7th fret of the 4th string, and back again. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and the 1st finger is moving up 1 more fret to the 7th fret. This time 3rd finger is going down on the 9th fret, back to the 1st finger, and then it's 1st finger is moving back to the 6th fret, 7th fret with the 2nd finger on the 4th string, and back to the 6th fret. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. Okay, that's the pattern. There's quite a few different slides in the way that he plays it as well, so you might want to check out exactly what way you feel like playing that, but that's the kind of the riff that I think it sounds pretty cool. Now the last thing that I'm going to share with you on this particular tune is the okay, which is this, it's basically playing a scale in thirds. It's the D major scale. But because we're based on E, it ends up actually being called E Dorian. Okay, so if you want to have a go with improvising, the actual one on the record is mainly using the open E minor pentatonic scale and some more advanced stuff later on. If you want to explore it, E minor pentatonic here, obviously up at the 12th fret as well, or D major scale is a really cool thing to start improvising with. It becomes E Dorian mode, but just think of it as being the notes of D major and have a play around. So in order to do this, you need to know pattern 4 of the major scale, of D major scale, okay, which starts here with the second finger. Okay, so you need to learn how to play that scale first of all. Now I've got a whole lesson, I just filmed it the other week, and it's on the website, so if you go to the scales and then the major scale and pattern 4, this is pattern 4, you absolutely have to know that before you start trying to play this lick. We're just going to be adding that one note there, the second fret, and then the open string. But what we do, the pattern that's used on the record here that you want to check out, it's called playing in thirds. Really good exercise to do ascending as well. But we're doing it descending, and what we'll be doing is playing a note, missing a note, and playing the next note. Okay, so normally the scale would go, we're going to play a note, miss that note, play the next note. Then we're going to play the note we missed, miss the next note, which would have been that, and then play one. Then go to the one that we missed, miss a note, which would be that one, play the next one. Go back to the one we missed, miss one, which will be that one. Okay, and it will give us that. Go back to the one we missed, miss one, which will be that one. And so on. You keep doing that down the scale. Okay, that's the whole run. Just watch the fingering there. Second finger, third finger, stretch back with the fourth. And then we're back in position. Very last part, it's a little bit awkward getting the, you kind of have to step with your fingers. But I think it sounds pretty cool, especially when you add the effects on. Bit of delay, reverb and stuff. It's a really nice little riff to go into your tune. Well, I hope that's given you some ideas of how you might approach this tune. You know, it's a really good one for beginners, just to take real simple chords, but I thought it was interesting kind of song to expand a little bit and look at some of the different approaches that you can take, and trying to copy like little keyboard parts and stuff like that is a really, really good thing to be doing. It's a really interesting solo as well, which I might do at some point, but it's a great one for you guys to have a go at with your transcribing, you know, because it's in open position. Well, the first one definitely is open position. Second one, I can't actually remember how it goes off the top of my head, but you know, this kind of tune is really, really great for transcribing, you know, especially I've just given you a massive hint. I've shown you how the tune goes. I've shown you that it's using a lot of D major scale stuff, and that it's using the E minor pentatonic in open position. That should be some pretty serious clues if you wanted to start having a go at working it out by yourself. And really that is the, you know, that's the proper way to learn solos. Much better than using tabs or lessons or anything like that, doing it by ears. It's difficult, I get it, you know, not everyone wants to do that, but if you feel up for it, it accelerates your learning very fast. It's the no shortcut version. For real men, have a go, and real ladies, if you know. And if you ladies are out there learning your Doors tunes, which would be a grand thing. I'm waffling now. Anyway, I really hope that you've enjoyed this lesson, and I'll see you for plenty more very soon. You take care of yourselves. Bye bye.